Hey, I'm certain there is a ton of videos on this, but so for those who know, it probably very obvious that this is fake, and I've had this actually on me for quite some time, and the one on my right, and the main thing that made me hard to believe it's fake, just me getting back into the hobby when I got this, was the fact that I had bought this. It was an interesting Facebook market listing, and I'm not saying it's not possible. And we're going to go ahead and do the ultimate test here in a second. We're going to rip this in half. But the reason why I have had a hard time accepting this as a fake is kind of based on how I got this. And there's a couple other cards that I had got it with. Some of them were real, but this one I think is fake. And here's the reason why I've had a hard time accepting it. It's because when I bought it, I bought it from like a 40-year-old mom. Now, what I'm getting at is I don't think she would go out and make fake cards and hope somebody would just respond to a listing quickly, because the cards in the listing really weren't that top end of cards. And I think I paid $100 back in the day. This was back in like 2021. 2020, and the cards themselves they weren't really crazy. They were kept in a 10. None of them were penny sleeved or top loaded. I was taking a pretty big risk. In fact, I don't even know if I even really have broken even from it yet, especially with this one being fake and several others in it being fake. And so, of course, one of the obvious signs is just the hollow on it. Doesn't really make sense. There's no texture. Now, there are error cards that don't have texture. That is a thing. And do I have any other EX cards? I'm looking. I don't have any immediately available. I had dug one out to do a check myself, but even with a non-EX card now, obviously you really should try and use ones that are the exact same. I mean, there's just some things. So the EX it has no outline around the EX. It's just EX in yellow. Typically they have some sort of bordering. I don't have an EX on hand. I have a GX on hand, but for example, typically there's some sort of bordering. So there's no bordering. The other thing too, and then you can do this with any, is the text itself it's crappy text. It looks like it came off a freaking printer from the 2000s. So you can see how much cleaner the spacing is. It doesn't look like it's pixelated. So this is a real card, and it was kind of funny. This card, as far as I'm aware, isn't worth much. I actually didn't do any research on that. I'm just guessing. I'm going to presume from my gut this card itself isn't worth much. And we're going to do the ultimate test with this one as well, just to show you what we're looking for. And then also you can see, like, this is an actual Illustrator 5 bond graphics. However, typically it's very cleanly crisp. This is all messed up. There's a whole bunch of things. And then, so we've got the real card, or what should be the real card. This one was actually kind of hard. I had to look at it really closely because the blues between what would be the fake and what is the real actually aren't that far off. They're just minusculely different. And typically what also you won't have on the back of a fake is it won't have quite the same gloss effect, but this one does. So then one other thing is the amount of bend, and it is just the finest difference. Typically there's a massive bend, like it'll really let you bend a fake, and you can't bend a real all that much. There's some stiffness to it, and once you start to go past it, it's not a big fan. And the fakes will almost let you usually bend them over backwards. And God, I'm hoping that this isn't worth much, and I'm hoping that this is fake. But we're going to do the ultimate test. And the ultimate test always is to rip it in half and see if there's that half black line. And so what we're talking about is, you can see white, black, white. And God, I really hope this card does not appreciate like crazy. But there's this fine black line in between. And that black line is basically the ultimate indicator that it's real. Now, I can't necessarily talk on what the actual printing process is that creates that black line. I'm certain we could Google it. But I just know that that apparently is the one and final thing that fakes don't do. And there we go. There is no black line in between. I don't know why fakes apparently can't pull that off. I mean, they pull off some pretty amazing things, to be honest. And I've seen fakes that are better than this. But man, boy, oh boy, I have held on to this for a while. Mainly just I figure maybe I'll do a video down the road. Maybe someone will give me some good news that it was real and that there was just a print of Pokemon that was like this. But that is the ultimate test of what is real and what is not. Obviously, the big issue with the ultimate test is once you do it, there's no going back. And there is instances where people have done it and it was a real card. So obviously a daunting thing. Oh, it's even got that little, it can peel right on and off sort of sticker thing. So that's kind of crazy. Now, obviously, I don't think I'm going to blame the mom. I think what more than likely happened, and I think it's a likely scenario, and I don't even, this was on Facebook Marketplace, and this was 2021, 2020. So I really, I'm not gonna be able to hunt it down anyways, but even if I could, I should have just told her no when I showed up, but I have been doing some driving or whatever, and it was only $100, so I figured what's the risk? And there were a couple of real cards in there, but the more likely scenario that occurred is the kid themselves, who was the son or daughter to the mom, had been traded some fake cards by some friends. Fake cards are really prevalent in the younger community. And I think there's two reasons for that. And I think the one reason is there's older kids who know that they can stand the younger kids. And you might say, dang, that's quite the stretch. But when I was a young kid, people were trading me poorly. And I was just a kid and I just traded because I liked the Pokemon versus understanding the importance of first edition and holographic. And this was when Pokemon first came out, like 2-3 years after it came out. But there was a pretty good hierarchy and establishment. And if you came across a kid who's like, I like Psyduck, and they have a whole bunch of Charizards, and you have a whole bunch of Psyducks, and you're 4 years older than them, you'll go, yo, kid, I see you got some Charizards, I got some Psyducks, you know, we can make this an even trade. And you as a kid automatically in your head go, even? Okay, even trade. And you go, I give you Charizard for each Psyduck. Now, I wasn't that bad, but I do know I've definitely been stabbed as a kid by basically just older kids and even some adults who were just shitty people. So I think that's the most likely scenario of what occurred. The mom didn't know. She had their kid's card in a tin. She knew that her kids didn't play with cards anymore, and she just decided to sell them. The other very possible scenario is the kid did find out his cards were fake, blamed it, brought it up to the mom. The mom said, well, we'll just get rid of them, and sold them to me, and put a bunch of the fakes in the mid/bottom of the pile of the tin, which honestly, I do see that happening too. People are kind of shitty all around nowadays. But I probably have at this point broken even. I got to do this little video for y'all. So yeah, this is just your PSA. Obviously, you're not going to want to do this if you're not sure. And if you're going to do this, if you're going to rip cards to show if they're real or fake, understand you are liable if they're real. So if you take a card and you go, oh man, for sure it's fake, and you rip it, you better be ready to pay whatever the price was for that card. And do not understate it. Do not be PSA. Do not be PSA to where you can only offer 20 grand for a $65,000 card. You pay the fucking price on that card. I hope you understand. And that's my PSA to you. And again, slipping in a PSA about PSA.